Financially free with Cleo.
Hey, this is Cleo with CleoYogaFinance.com, and welcome back for another episode of Financially Free with Cleo, a show where we shift mindsets with real and raw money conversations with everyday people, encouraging you to take action, appreciate the journey, and live the lifestyle you desire, financially, mentally, and physically. Today we have a very special guest. She is New York born, Texas raised content creator, social media manager, and brand developer. With over 20 years in tech, her mission is to bring more creativity, vulnerability, and intentionality to digital spaces across the web. She loves traveling the world to learn and experience God in nature and people along the journey. So welcome, Yasmine Bedward, to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling good. I think that was my first time being introduced with my bio before my intro, so I feel really fancy. Happy to be here.
Yes, you should, because you are just amazing. And I'm just so looking forward to this conversation with you. And we'll just go ahead and jump right in there. So, everyone who listens to this podcast, they know that I love to start from our childhood, just sharing, how we grew up and how we learned about money. So you just tell us, how was your childhood like, how you grew up, and how did you first learn about money?
Thank you. My childhood was very interesting. I'm a daughter of two immigrants. Both of my parents are British, and then our family is also Jamaican. So we have a lot going on there. But financially, because we had such a Christian background, was super religious, grew up in the church, for real. We had to pay tithes. So any money that I got as a kid, even as a baby, when your uncle puts $10 in your pocket, I had to pay tithes. And so that was my experience with money. And to this day, I still always take that 10% and do something with it, whether I'm donating it to a church or to a good cause. But that was me growing up with money. But that was pretty much the extent of it. I saw my mom budgeting and putting money in envelopes, but she didn't really explain that to me as much as she explained the sacrifice of giving 10% of what I earned back to God. And so that has kind of kept me grounded in that. But that was pretty much it.
Yeah, that's so cool. So how often do you go back to visit the other countries where your family's from?
Well, before COVID, it was every year at least, because I still have family there. So, and that, I think that's what started my interest in travels. I traveled, I think that was the only thing that I've done consistently my whole entire life, was travel to England and travel to Jamaica and throughout America.
Oh, that is so cool. I just love to hear about people who are not originally from here and have family that are from other countries, because sometimes people can be, so stuck in their hometown or their home state and may not want to venture out and explore. But it's just so much to learn out there. And there's so many people that are here that has ties to these other places that can really teach us a whole lot in our personal lives, in our professional lives. So I love that you have that experience, not just here, but in other places too.
Yeah, it's really cool. And that's also something else to learn about money as well, now that I think about it, because that's three different currencies that I've always had to keep track of. $1 is 100 Jamaican dollars, and that's 50 pence in
Wow.
British money. So it's I guess, yeah, maybe I kind of had more than just paying tithes as well.
Yeah, and that's something to think about too. Like you mentioned, the currency. I know before the first time I traveled internationally, I'm just used to dealing with USD, US dollars. But then once you start to travel to other countries, you have to learn, and it's cool to learn. I enjoy the travel, being a student of the traveling world, but you do have to start keeping up with, well, how much is the US dollar worth more or less in this country I'm traveling to? So that's just something else that you're learning along the journey. So that's so cool. So I would love to know, with your experiences just from, childhood, adult life, and even to present day, what do you feel is one of your best money decisions?
Stocks. I
Mm.
think stocks. And also ties. I think just having money because what you give, you get more of. And so the more you give, the more you receive. That's not the reason you should do it, but energetically, it's like a universal exchange. But
Yeah.
also stocks. I was so afraid of stocks, so scared. It was so much to learn. And then also watching your videos and all of your content about investing, I was like, I really have to start to take this and my finances a lot more seriously than I do. So I think stocks was like my biggest and probably one of my best financial decisions I've ever made.
Yeah, I love to hear it because I felt the same way. I feel, I know some people feel like, oh, it's too late to start because that's how I felt, but it's not. You can start with whatever you have. You don't have to have a whole lot, like millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can start where you are. And then the more income you earn, the more you can invest. And what really opened my eyes was when people explained it to me thinking, okay, well, Cleo, what do you already spend your money on? Like I have an iPhone, I wear Nike shoes and clothes, and then stuff that I spend around the house, the company that makes my deodorant or the who made my appliance in my kitchen. So when people are saying, hey, start thinking about places where you're already spending your money, and do you like those companies, and do you feel like those companies will be around for a long time? So to me, I felt the same way. I felt like, oh, it's a lot of information, it's overwhelming. But when you start to learn about it and then break it down, like, you know what, this can be some everyday stuff. It can be a little intimidating at first, but once you start to see the benefit of investing, then you start to want to learn more about it. And of course, just taking it one day at a time, not that we have to know all the things
Yeah.
at one time. But I'm glad you said that because I think more people are wanting to learn more about it because we don't want to just earn money just to pay bills, right?
No, we have to live very lavish lives, okay? And
Hmm.
they cost money. And I was so
Yes.
scared of stocks. I'm not like a math kind of person. I'm not really that great with numbers. Like I use a calculator to add 4 + 6. I don't care. Y'all can judge me. Um, but, but so I was really afraid of it. And I've had people throughout my life kind of tell me I need to do it. And then I just
Yeah.
thought also culturally, I'm like, I don't see many Black people talking about stocks, many women talking about investing. And so once I got into it enough, like I still don't know certain terms. I'm not like the
Yeah.
stock is. But once I got into it, it's like fun. I'm just watching my money grow. Sometimes it dips,
Hmm.
and it's like a fun game.
Yes, yes, most definitely. And I think just the fact that you said you're still learning, and none of us are perfect. Even as financial people, we don't know everything. We're still continuing to, of course, using our experience that we have, but we're still learning and growing. And as you can see from what you learned, there's something new to learn every day when it comes to investing. So the fact that we're just still making progress and taking it one step at a time is what's the most important. So I'm glad that you got into that and continuing to learn. And I would also love to know what do you feel is your worst financial mistake? And I know sometimes, we may not want to think about, oh, the worst, but even if you feel like something is a negative financial experience or the worst, I still feel like you could gain something from it because whatever situation was, you learned something from it and you can use it towards the next opportunity, or you still was able to learn and grow from it. So it may be a worse financial mistake, or you may feel like it's a negative experience, but there's still something from that you could be grateful for and learn from. So I would love to know what you feel is one of your negative financial experiences.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree. There was definitely a lesson there for me. My one of my worst financial mistakes was getting into investment properties too early. And in the
Mm,
wrong space. So when you aren't going to be living in the property that you are investing in, there are rules and regulations that you have to apply. And I tried to get away with them. And I shouldn't have done that. I knew that, but I was like, let's risk it and let's do it. And so now I know that the next
mm-hmm.
time that I'm in a financial position to invest in another property, that I'll be just a little bit smarter. I'll probably try to own something instead of trying to rent it. and just make sure it's in like a more stable environment, maybe not in an apartment building, but maybe like a house where I can have a little bit more freedom to kind of do what I want to do with the space. But that was probably it.
Yeah. And I like the fact that you acknowledge, hey, I think I got into this a little early. And I think that is something that helps us on our next opportunity. So whenever you do purchase property and have another real estate investment property, I'm sure you're going to use those lessons learned to
Yeah.
have a better experience. And I know that you shared some of the journey on social media. And I think that's really important too, is that, hey, yes, we're all sharing our wins and stuff on social media, but it's really important to share the journey with people to show that, hey, this is something that, hey, it didn't really work out as planned, but you know what, that's okay, because there's other opportunities that are going to be there for me, and I'm going to use what I learned from this experience. So anyone else out there listening can help, that will help them know, hey, you know what, let me make sure. Yes, people say real estate investment is great, but is this a great investment for me right now in
Yeah.
this way? Is it a different way that's going to be better for me? So I just like that we can reflect on our experiences so it can help us make better decisions for the future.
Yeah, a lot goes into it because you're responsible for yourself, your property, and the person that's going to be renting it or living there or
Mm.
staying in it or having a party there or whatever. And it's all in your name and it's on your credit. And so you just have to be very, very careful. It's very hard being a landlord. And now I know it was cute and everyone's selling the courses about this and that and you should do this and that. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna buy this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, no, they don't coach you the whole way. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
now I know. And yes, I shared it all on social media. If anyone follows me on social media, which I highly recommend, I put all my business out there.
Yes, sharing the journey. That's what it's about. And I think that lets other people know that none of us are perfect. We're all learning as we're going to. Yeah, we're experiencing some great things, got some wins, running businesses, doing all these things. But there are times when things don't work out the way we plan. And I know for me, I used to be so hard on myself when I try to do something and it didn't work out. But now I realize that, if it doesn't work out, even if I feel sad about it or if I cry, I just get it out and I'm like, Cleo, okay, what's next? What
Yeah,
are you gonna do next? Of course we're human, so it's healthy to acknowledge our feelings and emotions about stuff, but we don't want to stay, you know, in the negative emotions. We want to let it out, release, talk to a therapist or a friend if we need to, and then figure out, okay, what's the next move. So
yeah,
that's how I feel like I respond to things differently now when things don't work out in a certain way. So even with your experience with that rental property, girl, the next one, it's gonna be bomb, and it's gonna be not just financially, but time and energy. Like you mentioned, being a landlord, being responsible for other people, that can be a lot of weight on you. So when you have a previous experience that can help you manage it in a different way, that's going to work out for you. So it was
yes,
definitely worth the experience to learn from it, of course.
for sure.
Yeah. And with real estate, I know that's one of the ways people think of financial freedom too, is having investment property. So other than having the rental property, what's some other ways, like how do you define financial freedom? What do those words mean to you?
Financial freedom means to me that I don't have to transfer money from one account to the next account before I get to the register. Okay. Amen.
Yes.
And so, I hate the feeling of like, oh man, the bill is coming. Let me just pull up my account right now and just put the money because I know I ordered this and I only
Mm-hmm.
had $32 and I got $60 worth of food. Um,
Uh-huh.
so that is, to me, financial freedom is just being able to swipe the card and not think about it or not have to transfer funds. I'm so over that. I'm working on
Oh,
it though.
yeah. I can relate too because I know and not just from your checking account, but even when you try to save a little money, you put some in saving. Like I used to feel so happy about putting $20, $50 in my savings account. it wouldn't stay there for long because my money in my checking account it's gone now.
Exactly.
And I don't have any more money coming in this week. So I know that feeling, and it's not a good feeling.
At
Like when
all.
I was younger, it was kind of like funny almost.
Yeah.
But then once you start getting more real bills and responsibilities, and you're trying to be an adult and you want to do certain things, and you have to realize, like I told myself, Cleo, you can't keep doing this. So when you said that triggered something inside of me. It's like a flashback. Like I know exactly how that feels, and having financial freedom to just swipe your debit card and not have to always see, do I have the funds available? And when you mentioned making sure, like, you say you have like $32, like sometimes your available balance is not really what
Come on
your
and
available
speak
balance
about
is.
it. Come on.
And
Some
it's so
pending
funny.
transactions, the pending transactions. Oh,
Yes, when they hit, you like,
yikes.
yeah, it's that feeling, but it's lessons learned, right? Now we're at a position where we in our personal finances and business finances, we want to be able to spend money and not have to worry about those pending transactions sitting there ready to hit that account because
Yes.
we don't want to see that negative,
Yeah.
and I remember years ago, I had my checking account set up to where if it got to $0, it would send me like the notification. I said, I'm so sick of these emails telling me my account is at zero. Took that notification off. But what I realized, it was helpful because
Yeah.
who wants to keep seeing your account has reached $0?
Yeah.
So I just think things that we can reflect on really helps us in the present day because I would feel good. Like, for example, I have an apartment here in Dallas that I'm living in, and I pay my rent on time or in advance. And I remember when I would pay my rent late all the
Yeah.
time.
Mm.
And when I say late, I not mean a couple of days. I mean before they file for eviction late.
Ooh.
And it's like now that I pay it on time, it feels good. Like that's one of my financial freedom goals. Like I don't want to just make money to pay bills either.
Yeah.
But when you can pay certain things and you're not even,
Tripping.
yeah, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually paying this on time. Even today, I just feel good paying it because
Yeah.
I know it really wasn't that long ago when I mean, I guess it was like probably at least 10 years. But
Oh,
it
wow.
still feels like yesterday
Yeah.
sometimes. So
That's the thing about finances. It can be very scary because once you come from a space of lack or um, brokenness, you
yeah.
can, it feels like it's going to happen again at any moment. And so it does feel like that 10 years can feel like just 2 months ago.
Yeah, it sure can. And even me, I still have to check myself and say, Cleo, like when you start thinking about scarcity and the limiting beliefs and negative money thoughts, like I still have things in place that I need to give me positive financial reinforcement to let me know that, hey, I'm not trying to go back there. I
Yeah.
can reflect and be proud of myself, but I still want to acknowledge things that people may think is something small. Like me still paying my rent on time, that's still
Huge.
good for me, because once upon a time I was trifling and didn't pay my money. Even when I had the money, I would still pay it late, knowing darn well that I'm gonna have to pay it anyway. But when you said that, that just reminded me, and I'm sure there's other people out there that can relate too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really want to touch on um, the yoga training that we had. So back in December 2018, y'all,
Yeah.
we met at a yoga teacher training when we were in Koh Samui, Thailand. We were there for almost a month, basically. And we all had different stories, different journeys. And I really liked everything that you shared. And I feel like we all had a transformation during that experience and we learned a lot. And of course, the connections that we made with each other was amazing, was great. But I really want to know, after the training, you were going around to different countries, exploring, backpacking to, across different countries. So I would love to know, what made you decide to do that? And where did you go and what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, for sure. It was a transformation. And just seeing everyone now, even you, I'm just like, we've grown so much. It feels like we were talking about that 10 years ago, it feels like just yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
wow, I can't believe that. So what triggered that was I was listening to this podcast called Black Girl Unknown with Lauren Nash and Dion Ivory. They're
Hmm.
two Black women. They were based out of Chicago, I want to say at the time.
Okay.
And they were talking about, Black stuff, Black girl wellness and realness and all that good stuff. And they were talking about yoga teacher trainings
Mm.
led by other Black women. And so I knew I wanted to become a yoga teacher, but I knew I wanted to be taught by a Black woman, period. And so once I found out about the yoga teacher training and found out that it was going to be international, I had already had a bug in my ear that I wanted to backpack sometime in my life. Like, I need to have
Mhm.
this experience. And then I knew I wanted to become a yoga teacher. I knew I wanted to be taught by a Black woman. And so it kind of just was in alignment. And so
Mhm.
Thailand was the beginning of that journey. And I kind of went from Thailand to so many other countries. I was out from like November, December till about April. And I went
Mhm.
from Thailand to Singapore, Malaysia, Bali, Cambodia.
Mm.
Um, and then I did a few stops in Europe. So London, Italy, Paris, and then I came back home to New York.
Mm. Wow. That's a lot of places.
Yeah, it was
But
a lot.
yeah, and that's something that is on my at the top of my list to do. So my daughter, I'm a single mom and my daughter's the only child and she graduates this year in May. So after that, I'm really not going to have to be responsible for someone full time anymore.
And
So never this close to her graduating, I was like, you know what, I think it's time. But with COVID, I don't know. I see how that's not going to work like I anticipated. So I'm hoping things change with that. But I think back to your journey, because I know you used to share it and post about it. And I was like, that is so cool to be able to explore to other countries. And the first thing people think about is, how can someone afford that, or how much does it cost? It's expensive to be in one city in the US. So it doesn't have to cost millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to travel. And actually, other countries, the cost of living is cheaper than the US. So um, how did you plan with like financial wise? Did you already have money saved for the trip, or did you just have a certain amount that you was like, you know what, I'm only spend this amount of money in each country? How did you balance the money going to each country?
that was okay. Let's get into this. Everybody pull up a seat. Let's get a hot beverage. That was initially the plan. The
Yeah.
plan was to have $1,000 for every month that I was going to be away. So at least $6,000 in my checking, savings, whatever account so that I could live, eat, explore, all that good stuff. I ended up leaving New York City with 700 and I think $750 and like my
Wow.
mom's credit card. How that happened, I don't even know. I don't even know how I did it. I really don't even know. And when we talk about manifestation, I was just so called to do this. Like, I just felt like I needed to be in Asia. I have no real explanation, no tangible explanation. I just felt drawn to it.
Yeah.
And it just worked out. Like, when it comes to like paying for things like yoga teacher trainings and retreats, those things are not very affordable a lot of the time, especially in the financial space that I was in at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But scholarships became available. Things just started to just happen and flow. And when I thought I couldn't, I'm like, I'm not gonna make this final payment. I would get calls that were like, hey, you just got a grant. And it just happened for me. And I think again, it goes back to paying tithes, because even
Mm.
though no matter how much money I have, that 10% has to come out, or else I'm gonna burn in a pit of fire. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
But some of our Kojic folks who might be listening understand how the church can really threaten us with some
Mm-hmm.
severe consequences when we don't follow certain rules. And so no matter how what financial situation I was in. The tithes were getting paid. I was still writing down every single day, I will be backpacking these countries, I will visit these places. I just wrote it down every single day. And I used to commute from New Jersey to New York, where I worked in the city. And every day on my way to work, and I never spoke this story before, oh my goodness, but every day on my way to work, I would say that thing that I wrote down. And I can't remember what it said, but it was basically like, I traveled the world. It was actually a portion on there where it was like, and I come back and I talk about it. So it's so crazy I'm talking about it now.
Wow.
If I find it out, I'll try to send it to you in case you want to include it in the notes or anything. But I just constantly wrote it down. I constantly paid my tithes. I constantly said it to myself on my way to work, even like walking in the city. People, people might think I had headphones on, I was listening to music, and I wasn't. I was just constantly reciting that affirmation over and over and over again. I'm a backpacker. I traveled the world. I had these experiences. I came back safely. All just constantly saying it. And I just went. I just went with
Yeah.
that money that I had. I paid for everything that I could in advance. So before I left, I had my yoga teacher training paid for. I also went on a womb healing retreat in Indonesia. I made sure I had that paid for before I left. And like any sort of not hotel, because I didn't stay in any hotels, but any Airbnb or hostel, I try to make sure I paid for that in advance. And any sort of travel. So any plane tickets, bus tickets, I try to have it all paid for in advance. Now, thankfully, my mom made me do that before I went, because she was like, you are my only begotten son, and you are not going to be, I need to know where you are at all times. So I kind of had an itinerary typed out, planned out. Everyone in my family and my close friends had access to it, just in case, like, you're overseas, you might lose Wi-Fi, electricity, connection, which happened all the time, especially in Indonesia. And so everyone knew where I was, no matter if they heard from me or not. And so I just made sure that all of those stops were paid for. And then that $700 was my spending money. And I made it work. I made it work.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that you talked about the manifestation, because I think a lot of us can be so caught up on, oh, I need to have this perfect plan, or I need to have X amount of dollars saved. But now having a plan is great, but sometimes you're going to have to go ahead and make a move even when you're not ready. And it can be scary, but sometimes you still have to do it, because like you said, grants became available, scholarships, it just worked out. And I think sometimes people just don't get that type of mindset. Like sometimes, like every time, you're not going to be 100% ready. Like you're never going to be 100% ready, to be honest. And I just think back to, like, for example, the first time I relocated, I was so terrified because I didn't have X amount of dollars saved. Actually, I didn't have nothing saved. All I had was my last paycheck from my last job, and that was it. No money saved, no investments. I just had my last check from my last job I had. And I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. And the first time I relocated, I went to Miami, Florida. And Miami, Florida, it can be expensive. And I didn't know where I was going to live. And I have a child. And I did have a job when I went there, but in my mind, it didn't pay a lot of money, especially going to Miami, Florida, but I just did it anyway. I was just like, I need a change. I know I need to change my life in so many areas. And I feel like one of the things I need to do is relocate to a new place. Like I literally did not know where I was going to live. And people thought I was crazy because they were like, what type of mother are you? You're supposed to be stable. You don't have this and that. And I'm just like, whatever. So I'm going to do this. But what happened is stuff happened at the right time. And now that I look back that was back in 2013. And then when I come back till today, every time I just did it anyway, stuff did work out. Like that is so true. So y'all out there listening, like you don't have to have the perfect plan. Don't waste time waiting on the perfect situation or having a certain amount of money. If you take that first step, like you mentioned, money will come from places that you didn't even expect. Like it still happens for me today. Like sometimes when I feel like I'm hesitating to do something, I'm like, Cleo, just do it anyway. It's going to work out the way it's supposed to. Even
Yep.
if it's not the way you want it to, you're going to realize it was supposed to happen that way for a reason. So I'm so glad that you touched on that you didn't have a perfect plan. You didn't have $10,000 in the bank set aside just to go and explore. You said you had $700. And some people would be terrified to go out of the country, let alone to another city, with 700. But you have to learn that you have to take risks like that
Yeah.
if you really want bigger and better things out of life. So I love that you shared that, because it could be done, but you have to have that risk-taking mindset that, hey, whatever you want to do, and you say you said it every day. And my mom told me to say certain things that I want, and you telling me to say it like you said it to yourself, that's another reminder for me. See, I'm learning too. That's another reminder for me to, you have to say these things. Like, there is power in the words that we say, how we feel about ourselves, what we think. And that just goes to show that no matter where you are or what you're trying to do, you do have to change your mindset and actually be intentional with your thoughts and the words that you speak. So I just love it. Going backpacking, I'm going to do that. With COVID, now I'm trying to figure out how to make this work, because I know there's still travel bans in certain places.
Yeah. Someone reached out to me just yesterday about backpacking as well. And I mean, now's not the time, especially to go to Asia, but national travel, you totally can. So whatever country or continent that you are in, anyone who's listening, like, take advantage of your state, your country, like, explore there. Like, if you've never been to Arizona, go there. If you've never been to Utah, if you want to go to Salt Lake City, like, do all that stuff, because you can. But trying to go overseas is just a little bit tricky. It can be done, and I have done it. I wear my mask, I'm being safe, but it's just so hard. It takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah, because even if you can go to certain places, the experiences may not be the same with the restrictions and the mask. And if there's certain like activities you want to do, some are like closed, or even if they are open, it's like they have that capacity, a limit of a certain number of people. So at this point, you're just like, so you're right. I do like the fact that you mentioned exploring your own country, your own state, your own city, because I haven't been to Utah, but I've seen some great places in Utah.
Right?
And I like the outdoors. Well, I like the outdoors, but I don't like bugs and stuff. Like, it's really crazy. I was telling another friend about this, how I've never been like camping outside. And I've always said I wanted to do it just to say I did it. But knowing me, I would be in a cabin at night and then in the daytime,
Camping
explore.
is so fun. I love camping. I look forward to it every single time I go.
Yeah.
It's the best. But I'm like you. I love summer, but bugs, ooh.
Yeah, it's like a whole nother, like, I act like a big crazy kid running around looking crazy, but I still like the outdoors. So the fact that you mentioned places like Utah, people would think, like, when I used to live in Colorado, people back home from my hometown was like, Cleo, why are you in Colorado? There's no Black people there. And I'm like, first of all, it is Black people here. They may not be the majority. We may not be the majority there, but there's Black people there. But I think people should do more exploring than what they're used to. Like, don't not go to a place because you don't feel like it's a lot of people that look like you there. You should still go and explore. And
it's not trending. I see a lot of that, like a lot of Instagram. Ooh, she went there. I want to take pictures there. Like, that's all they did there, most likely.
right, just for the Instagram, the Instagram shots. That's all. But okay, that is so cool. So I'm glad you shared that. Anybody out there that wants to travel more, just do it. Don't feel like you have to have a whole lot of money set aside. Just go out there and do it, and just live your life and have a good time. And don't think too hard about it. That's just it. So going to your career that you have now, and I love all that you do. Like, the way you teach business owners, entrepreneurs like myself, you make it fun, and you're very creative. We see all kinds of ebooks and videos out there teaching about branding as an entrepreneur and about how to use social media. And some of it can be kind of like blah, 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 boring, but you make it so fun to watch. And it's kind of funny because it's like I've been able to meet you in person. And then it's like when I watch you on social media, I'm like, this girl just She is like naturally, like you don't like when you're not even trying to be funny, you hilarious. So the fact that you can get laughs and get some information to help your business, that's like a super win. So I would love to know, how did you get into being a traveling social media manager and a brand developer? And what do you love most about it?
Oh, thank you. And thank you for that compliment. Seriously, people, my friends have convinced me to start doing stand up. So we'll see what that journey is like in this year. Um, So what's interesting is this idea of becoming a traveling social media manager was actually birthed while we were in Asia. I think you looked over my very first email that I was like, I want to send this to someone. I'm like, is it right?
Yeah, that was so funny. Yes, I remember that. I remember that
Yes.
moment.
So part of that happened because I wanted to continue my travel, but because I only had $700, I knew I needed, more money. And
Yeah.
so I was like, what type of work can I do remotely, creatively, that sort of fuels me, that helps me feel good? I was teaching yoga while I was in Asia and traveling, but um, it wasn't as financially lucrative for me at the time. And so I needed more money faster. And there were so many businesses out there. There were so many other entrepreneurs. The influencer scene was huge back then, and everyone sort of needed help with how to navigate that space, how to put content online, how to properly upload things. And I kind of just had that information just sitting on. And so I just started to just use my voice again and teach about it and talk about it. And I was really trying to be very conversational because to me it's kind of simple, right? So it's like, in order to make money on social media, you have to use social media. So I just would say it, and people responded well to it, and it kind of just took over from there. And then
Mhm.
I always curated my feed a certain way, and just using my Instagram page as like a model. Like, I can do it for myself, I can do it for you as well. And then, yeah, sending out those cold emails that you helped me draft while we were in Thailand.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, constantly just reaching out to people, emailing people, brands, businesses, like every company has a social media page. Swiffer WetJet, your secret deodorant, Dove, always. Everybody has a social media page, and I promise you, not one single CEO is managing that account. They need a social media manager to do that. And so I was reaching out to everybody, every brand, everybody from Shake Shack and to like, just every influencer, people in the medical field, like everyone sort of needed that help a bit. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of what started it. It's like I was initially just paying for my next excursion, or like my next flight, or my next hotel, or whatever, if I wanted a drink, or if I wanted to
Mhm.
eat out instead of trying to cook, you know,
Yep.
I needed finances to do that. And it kind of started off that way. And I knew I wanted to continue my travel and continue to do work that I could do remotely. And so it sort of turned into me being the traveling social media manager.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And you do an amazing job of it. And I now realize, just for me trying to level up my own content and my business, now I see why there's a need for what you do. Now I see how it's a whole full-time job, really like 100 jobs in one, because it's a lot to manage. And I remember years ago when people would think, oh, people hire people to do that. People pay people to do that. And now people see that's a skill, like that a lot of creativity, a lot of skill, a lot of experience. So I think some people underestimate the power of social media, especially, years ago, but now people are seeing people, that's where the money is.
Where the money resides, where the money
Yes, that is where the money resides. Like, so seriously, like the first thing that people are going to do, no matter what type of industry, no matter what, they're gonna go to your social media page, or they'll go to your website, but a lot of times they'll go to your social media first and they'll look there before your website sometimes. So if you have that on point, that'll be like a huge game changer. So I do see the value in professionals like you, because it can be a lot for, like you said, the CEO is not handling that. They don't have time. They pay someone else to do that so they can focus on other things. And they pay someone who has experience like you, who can get the job done and increase their sales and engagement and just brand awareness and all that stuff. So I know you also share on your with your business the gram guides, which I love. For those, yes, got the shirt on. And, there's people out there, that know about it. But for those out there who are new, tell us, what is a gram guide and how can we use it to elevate our businesses?
Yes. So, speaking of financially free and things that we spend our money on and investments, I understand that, yes, I'm no longer like a broke backpacker trying to pay for a meal. I now have an established business with a whole team, and we're running a whole entire branding agency. A lot of the times, those services aren't available to people because of their financial situation, but I still want to help them. So what I do is I create a lot of free content on my platform. That's what I'm telling everybody, come through and follow me, follow the
Yes.
kid. And I provide a lot of free content. And in these gram guides, I sort of jam pack them with ways that you can grow your social media, ways that you can make money on social media, and ways that you can use your community that you've already have, your platform and all that good stuff to sort of grow and market and manage your business in a better way. So gram guides are just information. It's like free, it's free smoke, but it's not like the typical free content where it's like, oh, get the rest of it by doing all this extra stuff. No, it's full of information because I know what that is like to want help, to need help, but you're not in the position financially to sort of work with me on a certain kind of level. So the free information is good information, and it's information that I use for my brand, and it's information that I still provide to my clients to this day.
Yes, I love them. Like whenever you drop those gram guides, I'm like, that's when you know you have good content, when the free content is fire. Cause I'm like, well, how much more possibly can she give us? Like, that's what makes people want the paid. Cause they're like, if this is free, I know the paid is going to be worth my time, energy, and money. Last summer, I believe it was, you had the 90-day content calendar, and I purchased that, and that was definitely a game changer for me. And I think, could you just share really quick, like what the importance of having like a plan, like scheduling things that you're going to share with your audience versus just going with the flow, random posting?
Yeah. Oh, random posting. I had someone reach out to me and they were like, yeah, I just post with my intuition. I'm like, oh, intuition. I love that you have intuition, beloved, but that is not going to get your coins all the way together. And I think that's what is really helpful. It's like having someone that's going to honor your business, honor the goals that you have, honor your intention, but also be thinking about your business on the back end, because intuition don't pay bills too much. And so what I wanted to
It's true.
so with what I wanted to do with the 90-day content calendar is sort of give my audience like a starting point, right? So yes, it's important that you tell your story, but there's a way to do it. There's a way that you can roll it out. There's a way that you can get people to know, like, and understand and trust you. There's a way that you can use your voice in certain spaces to make sure that you're grabbing people's attention. The same way that I'm telling a story now and people are like, oh my gosh, you're so hilarious. This is so great. I love it. I love it. I'm teaching you how to do the same. And I think the thing that would help with that is just having a plan and having a schedule. So typically when a client works with me, I do 30 days of their content at one time, so that no matter what, for the next 30 days, we have our content all the way together. Of course, if something pops up, we're going to read the room. It's Black Lives Matter. They tearing down the Capitol. We're not gonna, put certain content out there, but at least we have a base so that no matter what, we're still gonna be consistent. So what I did with the 90-day content calendar was just drop 90 ideas. So no matter what your business is, no matter what your brand is, no matter what your niche is, it's all about storytelling, right? Introducing yourself to your audience. I had a conversation with a friend the other day. She was like, all your followers? I'm like, yeah. Every time I get a new follower, I send them a voice note. I'm like, hey girl, thanks for coming through. Like, you have any questions, like leave a message and let me know. That turns into a conversation. We're friends, beloved. Like, what we
Yes.
doing? And so it's just really helpful to put yourself out there and to be transparent and to be vulnerable. Like, you can't just come out on the scene and just drop a product and just expect people to like it. Who are you? What is your brand? Why do you believe in it? Why should I shop there? Like, you have to start to tell those stories no matter what your products are. So in the 90-day content calendar, I kind of give everyone ideas and starting points for ideas for captions, ideas for content, photos, how to put it all together and like lay it all out. And I break it all down that way. I could talk about this. Oh, I love this stuff because it's so important. Like, being transparent, being vulnerable, sharing your story in a creative way. Like, it's so important. And that's what's going to make you money, not the cute, aesthetically appealing photos. It's the truth behind all of that.
Yeah, I love that. And I think a lot of people, entrepreneurs, can be really overwhelmed because there's so many tips out there, so many people with products giving you tips and advice. Some people come with the real, straight to the point, like you, and then you have others who kind of give you the fluff, and you're like, did this really even help me? So it's really helpful for entrepreneurs like myself and others to really connect and find with people that actually can teach them something. And actually, you genuinely want to see other business owners win. You're not just slapping something together and just trying to get the money. Of course, money is important because, hey, if you want to have me keep providing value, gotta earn income in the business. But you don't just, people aren't just another number with you. You actually want to see your clients win, whether they are a large company or if they're a solo running operation in their business. So that's what I love about you. Like you said, you leave a voice note. Just when someone follows, they feel seen, they feel welcomed. And I think that's important. And people are more willing to spend their money when they know that someone cares about them in some way.
And I just want to talk really quickly about the number, because people get really hung up on like, I want 10K followers and da 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 da. Or it's like, I only have 50 followers. I'm like, if there were 50 people in your house right now, you would feel very overwhelmed. And so it's honoring those people. They're coming into your social space. It's it's social media and it's an app, but this is your home base. This is where you also spend the most of your time. Typically, most people spend a lot of their time on social media. So for people not to be taking advantage of that, and then for people not to honor that, like, that's just like somebody walking through my door right now and I'm just gonna sit here and not look at them. Why wouldn't I say hi? Why wouldn't I acknowledge them? Why wouldn't I thank them for coming over? Girl, here's some slippers, some house shoes. You want some tea? Like,
Yes.
get comfortable, because to me it's more than that. And one of the first things I always have people do, clients do, and I talk about it on my own Instagram all the time, is about having an Instagram intention. Don't just be another number on the app. Like, really maximize your opportunity in that space.
Yes. Oof. You broke it down. Y'all listening out there, if you already have a business or you're thinking about starting one, please follow Yasmine Bedward, because she's dropping a whole lot of gems on this podcast episode, and you can get even more on social media as well. So thank you so much for sharing that. And you even gave some reminders for myself, because even me, like, I sometimes get overwhelmed with managing it all, but then I have my tools and resources I can refer back to, like with my content calendar from you, and even going to your page and reviewing some of the gram guides you've already shared, and your YouTube page as well. So I think that you do an amazing job at what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to what's coming in the future with you and your business. So I also want to just learn a little bit more about you. So these are just a few quick questions I'm going to ask so we can learn a little bit more about Yasmine. So whatever is the first thing that comes to mind that is the answer, just share with us. So I know we may kind of touched on it a little bit, but traveling. So you've been to a lot of places, but out of all the places you've been to, what is the most favorite place you've traveled to, and what's one place you haven't been to yet that you're looking forward to visiting?
haven't been to Africa, not a single country in Africa, and I feel so guilty about that just because I'm Black and I've like been all over Europe. One of my favorite places was probably Cambodia. And not for, it's interesting. If anyone has an opportunity to visit there, I say beware, but they're living so differently. Like so much tragedy has happened in that space, and you can see it in everyone's eyes, and you can smell it in the air.
Wow.
It's very interesting, that place. Yeah.
Wow, Cambodia. I've never been there either, but I would love to experience that too. And do you remember how long you stayed there when you went?
Ooh, maybe like a week or two.
Okay.
And I went to so there was like this huge, it's not a happy story. It's not also like a fun place to go. So disclaimer,
Right.
it was
Okay.
just so much to learn about the people there and their journey and their experience. And yeah, like, yeah, I learned a lot about Cambodian hair too as well. And just
Hmm.
see a lot. You see a lot. And so yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to learn a lot, I say go to Cambodia.
Okay. Cool. I'll put that on my list.
Yeah.
Oh, so what is your favorite food?
Ooh, chicken wings.
Ooh, see, I'm getting hungry right now just thinking about it. Okay, what is your most favorite thing to do that doesn't involve earning money?
Instagram.
Instagram? Okay, cool. How did I know that?
I really love it. I really, really.
Yeah, that's when you know you really enjoy something, when you'll do it and you're not necessarily been paid for it, although you can be, but that's when you know you really love something, you can do it anytime.
Mhm.
All right, so what's your favorite season? Spring, winter, summer, or fall?
Summer all day.
Yes,
I do not like being cold.
me either. Okay, being from New York, how
Racketeering.
do yeah, see, I don't like cold either. I love summer. Like I think you're the only other person I know that say they like the summer. Everyone else is like they like the winter or fall or spring, but no, I haven't heard anyone else say summer because people say it's hot and miserable. And you know, I'm in Texas, so you know the summers can be hot, but I like to be hot. So
Me
I
too.
don't like to be cold. I don't like buying coats and
No.
I mean, I like scarves and
Yeah.
boots and stuff. It's cute fashion wise, but honestly, I'd rather have my summer clothes on.
Almost always. We'll always pick a slip dress over a pea coat. Always. Like,
Yes.
I don't mind being super, super hot. Like I thrive in that climate. Even when it's like sweltering and I get sweat everywhere, I would much rather enjoy that than being bundled up with my shoulders up to my ears in snow. Oh,
Right. Hats and gloves. I'm with you on that too. All right. So, last one here. If you had $500,000 today, what is the first three things you would do?
I would pay my rent.
Mm,
I would pay my bills. I would pay my team. I
mm,
would pay my tithes. Not in that order though, because you know.
mhm.
Um, and then I'll like invest or save the rest.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I love that. Got to take care of that team. They
Yes,
put in some work.
very
All
important.
right, so now we have financial affirmation cards. So I'm just gonna pull a random financial affirmation card, and I just want you to tell me how it makes you feel and how does it relate to your own personal or professional journey.
I am
All
so
right,
excited about this. It's like a tarot card reading, but financial.
right. I am in competition with no one.
Oh, period. I agree. I agree. I really, when I see other people, I never think competition. I always think community. Like if I see
Mm.
another beautiful person or another rich person, I'm always like, girl, let's hang out. Teach me how to be pretty and rich like you.
Yes, that is
Never
so funny
competition.
that I pulled that one. I literally shuffled them before and I just pull a random one. When I saw that, I was like, wow. And sometimes people may wonder, how does that relate to finances or anything like that? But it relates in a
Yeah,
huge
because
way.
I'll never try to buy a Birkin bag right now. Like and I know, no shame. It's because I see people really killing themselves financially to match up or to compete with the next person. And it's just like, oh my gosh, Forever 21 has cute stuff too. Like we don't have to, you know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
yeah, I can't. I really don't look at what anyone's doing. I pull from it inspiration,
Yes.
goals. Something will go on my vision board in a heartbeat. But for me to like one up on somebody, it's a waste of time, energy, and money in my opinion.
Yes, that is so true. And I think anyone listening out there should remind yourselves that we're not in competition with anyone. Just like you said, you may look at others, for the inspiration, but you're not trying to spend money and do certain things just to compete with the next person. You'll be more blessed and get more opportunities when you live in your own truth and be who you are
Amen.
versus trying to do what other people are doing, because you really have no idea how they got what they got and what they doing to keep getting what they getting.
Come on and talk about it. You can rent luxury items. I
Right.
learned about this photo shoot that you can do on a private plane, and the plane don't take off, and you have all these people on these jets talking about this and that, and this is how you level up. They rented that. Come on.
That's a good point that you made, because you see a lot of people taking pictures
Mhm.
on a private jet, and people automatically assume, oh, they have a private jet, or maybe they can afford to fly in one to
Private.
wherever they're going. But like you mentioned, that I totally forgot about that you can, like you said, you can rent it just to take pictures. But just think about if you did that. Like, I mean, hey, if that's what you want to do, well, go ahead, out there, whoever. But for me, I'm just like, I would just feel kind of like silly, me personally, going on there. Just like, I want to be able to ride in one, fly in one, because I
And
can
take
do that financially. But just to take a picture just feels kind of, and I guess sometimes people can compare it to, well, how is it different than taking a picture anywhere else? Well, when you post it, you're making people think that this is yours, or this, or you financially can fly in private jets. Then you're not authentic and you're not being real either. And you're trying to gain more, I guess, business or popularity, just trying to create this lifestyle that you're really not living outside of Instagram.
yeah, it hurts my heart to see it. It really does.
Yeah, it's just so much, it's less, because it's less stressful when you just live your life and don't compare yourself, and don't be in competition with
Ooh,
anyone else, because you're going to stress yourself out trying to live up to certain lifestyles that's really not yours. Now, if you want to have a private jet, that could be yours.
yeah.
You have to, just like you mentioned, manifesting, you could say
Mhm.
it, but not trying to spend money that you really don't have just to live this lifestyle. So I love that.
Yes.
All right, so the last question here is advice. So a lot of times we are asked, what advice we would give to our younger selves, but I want to know, what advice would you give to yourself right here in this moment? This could be financial or any type of life advice right now.
I would tell myself to breathe, cry, release it, and keep going.
I love that. I need to hear that too. We all need to hear that. I hope you guys were listening and writing that down, because anytime you have a moment, make sure you do all those three things. So this has been such a good conversation, and it
What?
goes by so fast, and I wish that we could talk all
Go.
day. Yeah, definitely going to have to do this again. But before you go, I would love for you to let us know how people can connect with you, how we can support you and your business.
Thank you. If you want to support me for free, please follow me on Instagram. Engage with my content. My Instagram is Yasmine Bedward, at Yasmine Bedward, YASMINE Bedward, BEDWARD. And if you want to support me with a coin, honey, you can purchase my ebook. You can book a consultation call with me. I can get your brand, your business all the way together. You can buy an Instagram audit, all types of things. I have lots of things, lots of different price ranges available. And again, I provide a lot of free content on my Instagram. So please follow me there.
Yes, thank you so much, Yasmine. I appreciate your time, all your knowledge. Thanks for sharing some of your story. I was blessed with it, and I know so many other people out there are going to be blessed by it as well. So make sure you guys go to her website, go to her social media, connect with her so you can level up in your life, personally and professionally. And this is the end of the show, but before I go, I just want to encourage everyone out there to just take it one day at a time. Take real action in your lives, put yourselves first so you can live the lifestyle you desire. And as you navigate through your financial journey, don't wonder what if, take a risk, and have an amazing week.
Bye, everyone.
You can be financially free with Cleo.